She's a fearless original, a comedic genius with a gift for song and a passion to perform. She is Bette Midler.
I knew I had to be a star. I had no hope for anything else. It's the only thing that occurred to me. You know, it was the only way out.
Her talent is positively dynamic, an unstoppable urge that demands artistic expression.
God made some people a certain way, and she has this furnace in her that keeps burning, and she just has this unquenchable desire to keep going.
Guided by an abiding belief in herself, Bette Midler's never been afraid to take a chance and let the chips fall where they may.
I was very lucky. I was in the right place at the right time and allowed to be whatever I could think of being.
Behind her stardom is more than just the story of the talent and perseverance that won her fame in movies and music. Bette Midler is an example of raw guts and gracious courage. She has endured both triumph and failure, and no matter what the outcome of her work and dreams, she goes on.
I made all these mistakes, and I had no one to blame but myself, you know, so I suffered, I lived through it, and then I got up and I was purged, and I carried on with my life.
Now, at the milestone of her 5th decade, Bette Midler's life is more enriched than ever. She has the love of a husband, the joy of a daughter, and the undiminished ability to sing like no one else in the world.
I think that she really has an ability to move people. To me, she's a force of nature as a performer.
Tonight, the divine Miss M, as you've never seen her before. Bette Midler, an intimate portrait. Next. Bette Midler was born in Honolulu on December 1st, 1945. Her father, Fred, moved there to paint houses for the Navy with his wife, Ruth, and Bette's older sisters, Judy and Susan, in tow.
My parents had no money. I was raised kind of poor. And we all had a sense of humor, and we all had a healthy respect for other people. We learned kindness, we learned real good stuff.
Bette's father was practical to a fault, while her mother adored the fantasy and dreams of the movies.
My mother loved show business, and she did love Judy Garland, and she loved Susan Hayward, and she loved Bette Davis. And I was named for Bette Davis. My sister was named for Susan Hayward, and my oldest sister was named for Judy Garland. Bette grew up in Hawaii after World War II, amid a mixture of Hawaiians and Americans, Japanese, Samoans, Filipinos, and Chinese, all set in a carnival-like atmosphere of sailors and strippers, gamblers and grifters. To a future entertainer, it was an important lesson about the ways and wiles of the real world. I was an outsider, but it honed my skills. I know a lot about observation. I learned how to observe. I learned I learned the nature of all kinds of people, not just one kind of people. I was never in my tribe. I was always outside my tribe. But I learned to be interested and respect other people's tribes.
Bette and her family lived in military housing. As hard as her father worked, they had the money for what they needed, but not much else. But money aside, what she always wanted but could never get was her father's love and attention.
I'd say that from what I know that it was difficult. He was not an encouraging man. He was less than generous with compliments. Was an extremely hard taskmaster, I think.
I think that she got her mother's compassion. She got her father's fierceness and his toughness, because he was a tough guy. He wasn't mean. He just didn't play. I think she got her survival, her strength from her mother.
Bette's emotionally lean home got even leaner when her brother Danny was born with a severe mental disability. Bette was 6. From then on, his needs came first and the rest of the family had to wait. That's when Bette began to lay the psychological foundation for getting the love and affection she needed. That's when she discovered what every entertainer lives for: applause.
I sang for the second grade, the Silent Night. I sang Silent Night for the Christmas pageant, or for my classroom. And apparently I could hold a tune. That was a very big surprise. And I was afraid to tell my mother that I had sung Silent Night because we're Jewish, and I was afraid it was going to be, you know, a scandal. But I got a hand for that, and I was like, ooh, I got a hand. And the second time I got a hand was when I was in the 5th grade, and Barbara Nagy and I did a sketch for the 5th grade class, and that got us a hand. And that was a very big deal for Barbara Nagy and me.
Bette's first thrill from an audience filled her up in a way she had never known before. Soon she was singing for the entire neighborhood from her outdoor Hawaiian shower. Then it really happened. In the 6th grade, she entered a talent competition that changed her life with a song she sings to this day, Lullaby of Broadway.
I beat Diane Lucas, who sang Don't Be Cruel or Heartbreak Hotel. Elvis was just out. That shows how old I am. Anyway, that was a very big deal. And that stayed with me. I mean, I remember everything about that. I remember the clothes I was wearing. I remember the way it felt. I remember the prize. I remember the people. I remember the man that handed me the prize. I mean, it was so strong.
From that day on, Bette was determined to perform and to entertain.
I knew being a performer was a way out. I came to the realization that being a performer was the way out. I was a very good student as a child, and I knew I could have a life as some kind of a teacher or a nurse or a librarian, but there was that thing in the back of my mind that told me that that I would have more fun doing something else. And I think I was very enamored of having fun. I do. I didn't have a lot of fun as a kid, but I wanted to have fun.
The older Bette got, the more she grew into herself. She enjoyed being outrageous, provocative, even sexy. She was especially stimulated by Honolulu's red light district and the cheap thrills happening on its streets. To divert her daughter's attention from that unsavory attraction, Ruth Midler encouraged Bette to idle away her time at the movies.
She used to give us a dime. No, it's 20 cents in those days. She used to give us 20 cents to get us out of her hair for a couple of hours. That was the only thing we were allowed to go to, was musicals. We never went to a horror show. Never. Only musicals, because they were funny. And the attitude, she knew there was not going to be any harm.
Bette was spellbound with the likes of Ethel Merman and Esther Williams. Her exposure to their acting, singing, dancing, and dialogue shaped Bette's future.
Glamour is a really peculiar thing. If it gets you when you're very young, I mean, you're smitten for most of your life. Most of your life. I am going to be 51, and I can say I am just getting over that aspect of my life now. So you can tell it had a big effect on my life.
With a vision of what she wanted, Bette set out to make her dreams come true. In high school, she starred in plays and started an all-girl trio that sang at military bases around the island. After high school, Bette studied acting at the University of Hawaii in the relentless pursuit of the life she wanted. Then, like a gift from a total stranger, Bette got the break of her life when Hollywood came to her own backyard to film the movie Hawaii. Bette landed a part as an extra. It may have been a small part, but it paid for a major move. A one-way ticket to the bright lights of Broadway. With the blessings of her mother and warnings from her dad, a 19-year-old Bette Midler left home in 1965 to stake her claim to fame and fortune in showbiz.
That was definitely the turn, where I took the turn. And after that, there really was no looking back.